I didn't know he was watching me. Episode 4. The envelope arrived 3 days after Ada moved into the penthouse. Not delivered to the door, not left by a messenger. Just there on the kitchen counter when she came back from the bathroom one morning. White, unmarked, exactly like the one that had been in her old apartment weeks ago. Ada stared at it. Her coffee had gone cold in her hand. The penthouse was supposed to be secure, 40 stories up. Guards, cameras, locks that required fingerprints and codes. And yet someone had walked in while she was in the next room and left an envelope on the counter. She picked it up. Her hands were steadier than she expected. Inside were photographs, not of her this time, of Jaehyun. The first photo showed him in what looked like a warehouse. He was standing across from 3 men. Even in the grainy photo, his posture was relaxed, controlled. One of the men had his hands raised, not in surrender, but in pleading. The timestamp on the photo was 2 years ago. The second photo was from the same night, same warehouse, but now only 2 men were visible. The third was on the ground. The image was dark but clear enough. Jaehyun was walking away. One of the other men was on a phone. The third photo showed police tape around the same warehouse, news vans. The timestamp was the next morning. Ada's stomach turned. At the bottom of the stack was a note, same handwriting as before. He told you about Lee. He didn't tell you about Park Min-soo or the others. There are 12 more. Call me when you're ready to know the truth. Below it, the same phone number from before. Ada heard the penthouse door open. Jaehyun's voice calling her name. She had maybe 10 seconds to decide what to do with the envelope. She shoved it into the kitchen drawer, closed it, turned around just as he came into the kitchen. "Morning," he said. He was in a suit ready for the day. He looked tired but smiled when he saw her. "Coffee." "Already had some." Her voice came out normal, steady. She was getting very good at lying. He crossed to her, kissed her forehead. "I have meetings all morning, probably won't be back until afternoon. Will you be okay here?" "I'm fine." He looked at her for a moment. His eyes searched her face the way they always did, reading her, checking for signs of distress or fear or regret. "Are you sure? You look." "I'm sure," she smiled, put her hand on his chest. "Go, do your business empire thing. I'll be here when you get back." He kissed her properly this time, soft, lingering. "I love you." "I love you too." He left. Ada waited until she heard the elevator doors close. Then she pulled the envelope back out of the drawer and stared at the photographs. Park Min-soo. The name meant nothing to her, but the photos meant something. They meant Jaehyun had told her about Lee, about being cruel, about dismantling a life piece by piece. He'd told her about the man he'd had killed, the one who was going to testify. But he hadn't told her there were others. 12 more, the note said. Ada sat down on the kitchen floor. The cool tile pressed against her legs. The photographs were spread out in front of her. Evidence of things she'd chosen not to look for. Things she decided she could live without knowing. And now they'd found her anyway. Her phone was in her pocket. She could call Jaehyun, show him the envelope, ask him to explain. He would tell her the truth. He'd promised her that. He'd tell her about Park Min-soo and the warehouse and whatever had happened that night. Or she could call the number, hear what the American had to say, see the evidence he claimed to have about all 12. Ada picked up her phone. She didn't call either number. She called Jisoo. "Hey," Jisoo answered. "You okay? You sound weird." "Can you come over?" "To the penthouse. Is that allowed?" "I don't know, but I need you. Please." "Give me an hour." Ada spent that hour staring at the photographs, memorizing them, looking for details she might have missed. The warehouse looked abandoned. The men looked scared. Jaehyun looked calm. 12 more. What did that mean? 12 more men he'd killed, 12 more operations, 12 more secrets. The elevator chimed. Ada quickly gathered the photos back into the envelope and shoved it in the drawer. But it was just security calling up. Jisoo was in the lobby. Ada authorized her up. Jisoo stepped out of the elevator and immediately whistled. "Okay, wow, this is wow." I know. No, like, I knew he was rich, but this is... Jisoo walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows. This is insane. How do you even sleep knowing you're 40 stories up? Jisoo. Something in Ada's voice made Jisoo turn around. Her expression shifted from impressed to concerned in half a second. What happened? Ada pulled the envelope out of the drawer, handed it to her. Jisoo looked through the photographs in silence. When she finished, she set them on the counter very carefully. Where did you get these? Someone left them here, this morning, while I was in the bathroom, in this apartment that's supposed to be secure. Someone got past his security and left these for you to find. Yes. Jisoo was quiet for a moment. Then, what are you going to do? I don't know. Are you going to ask him about it? I don't know. Are you going to call the number? I don't know. Ada's voice cracked slightly. I don't know anything anymore. I thought I'd made peace with what he was. I thought I could handle it. But this, she gestured at the photos. 12 more. What does that even mean? Jisoo picked up one of the photos, the one with the man on the ground. You know what it means. You just don't want to say it out loud. He's killed people, multiple people, and he only told me about one. 2, he told you about 2. Lee, who he destroyed but didn't kill, and the man who was going to testify, who he did kill. Ordered killed. He said he didn't do it himself. That's not better, Ada. Ada knew that. She knew the distinction between pulling the trigger yourself and ordering someone else to do it was meaningless in any moral sense. But somehow her brain kept trying to make it matter, kept trying to find ways to make this okay. What should I do? Ada asked. Jisoo looked at her friend with something like pity. I can't tell you that, but I can tell you this. If you stay, if you choose him knowing this, you can't pretend anymore. You can't tell yourself you don't know what he is, because now you do. And whatever happens after this, you're choosing it with full knowledge. That's what Min-jae said, about carrying the weight. Min-jae was right. Ada walked to the window, looked out at Seoul. The city spread below her, full of people living ordinary lives with ordinary problems. She used to be one of them. 3 months ago, her biggest worry was making rent and sending money home. Now she was standing in a penthouse, looking at evidence that the man she loved had killed at least 2 people, possibly 14, and trying to decide if that was a deal breaker. I love him, Ada said quietly. I know. Does that make me a bad person? I don't know, maybe it just makes you human. Jisoo came to stand beside her. People love complicated people all the time, dangerous people, broken people. That's not new. The question isn't whether you love him, it's whether you can live with what that love costs. And if I can't, then you leave. You get on a plane back to Nigeria and you never look back. You rebuild your life and you find someone safe and boring and you forget this ever happened. And if I can, then you accept it, all of it, the violence, the secrets, the danger, the knowledge that the man holding you at night has blood on his hands. You accept it and you stay and you never get to claim ignorance again. They stood in silence. Seoul glittered below them, indifferent to their crisis. He'll be back this afternoon, Ada said. I have a few hours to decide. What are you leaning toward? Ada looked at the photographs on the counter. At the evidence of things she'd tried not to think about too hard. At proof that Jaehyun was exactly what Min-jae had said he was, dangerous, violent, someone who ended lives when it served his purposes. And then she thought about the way he looked at her, the way he'd driven through the night because she was scared, the way he'd said, I love you, like it cost him something to admit, the way he'd told her she could leave and he'd let her go. I'm leaning toward staying, Ada said. God help me, I think I'm going to stay. Jisoo nodded, didn't look surprised. Then you need to tell him about the envelope, today, before he finds out some other way. Because if you hide this from him, you're starting your life together with a lie, and that never ends well. What if he gets angry? At you, he won't, at whoever left it, definitely. But that's not your problem. Your problem is being honest. Jisoo picked up her bag. I should go, let you figure this out. Thank you for coming, Ada gestured helplessly, for not judging me. Oh, I'm judging you. Jisoo smiled slightly. But I'm also your friend, and friends show up even when they think you're making terrible decisions. Is that what this is? A terrible decision? Ask me in a year. After Jisoo left, Ada sat with the photographs for another hour. She looked up Park Min-soo on her phone, found a news article from 2 years ago. Businessman found dead in warehouse, police investigating. The article was sparse on details, no suspects named. The case went cold. She looked up the other names she could find in the articles about the warehouse incident. Found more cold cases, more unsolved deaths, more men who'd crossed someone powerful and paid for it. She didn't look up the other 10. She didn't want to know. Not yet, maybe not ever. At 2 in the afternoon, Jaehyun called. Hey, she answered. I'm finishing up early. Should be home in 20 minutes. Want me to bring food? Home? He said it so casually. Like this penthouse was their home now. Like she'd been there forever instead of 3 days. Actually, can we talk when you get here? His tone shifted immediately. Are you okay? Did something happen? I'm fine. We need to talk about something. I'm leaving now. I'll be there in 10 minutes. He hung up. Ada gathered the photographs, put them back in the envelope, set it on the counter where he'd see it immediately. Then she waited. True to his word, the elevator opened 9 minutes later. Jaehyun stepped out, slightly out of breath, still in his suit. His eyes went immediately to her face, checking for signs of distress. Then they dropped to the envelope on the counter. His expression didn't change, but something happened behind his eyes. A calculation, a recognition. How long has that been here? He asked. Since this morning. Someone left it while I was in the bathroom. He picked up the envelope, looked through the photographs without expression. When he finished, he set them down very carefully. Park Min-soo, he said quietly. Yes. The note said there are 12 more. Yes. He was silent for a long moment. Then, there aren't 12 more, there are 6. The person who wrote this note is inflating numbers to scare you. 6 is still, Ada stopped, took a breath. 6 is still 6, Jaehyun. I know, he looked at her. Do you want me to explain about Park, about the others? I don't know. Part of me wants to know everything. Part of me wants to never know anything ever again. Part of me wants to get on a plane and fly somewhere you can't find me. You could. I'd let you go, I promised you that. I know. They looked at each other across the kitchen. The envelope sat between them like evidence at a trial. I'm going to tell you anyway, Jaehyun said. Because you deserve to know. Because if you're going to stay, you need to understand what you're choosing. Okay. He poured himself a drink, offered her one. She shook her head. He took a long sip, set the glass down, and started talking. Park Min-soo ran a trafficking operation. People mostly young women from Southeast Asia. He brought them to Korea with promises of jobs and then sold them, kept them in warehouses, made them work until they paid off debts that never decreased. Ada felt something cold settle in her stomach. I found out about it because one of his girls escaped. She ended up at a hospital where someone I know works. The hospital called me, not the police, me, because they knew the police wouldn't help. Too many of them were on Park's payroll. So you went to the warehouse. I went to the warehouse. I confronted him. I gave him a choice. Shut down the operation. Release the girls, leave Korea, or face consequences. And he refused. He laughed at me, said I had no authority over him, that his operation had been running for 5 years and no one could touch him. Jaehyun's jaw tightened. So I made sure no one would ever have to worry about him again. You killed him. I had him killed. The distinction doesn't matter to you, I know, but it matters to me. I didn't pull the trigger. I ordered it. And I made sure the girls in that warehouse were released and given enough money to get home or start over. All of them. Ada absorbed this, and the other 5. Similar situations. Men who hurt people who couldn't defend themselves. Men who thought power meant immunity. Men who I decided the world would be better without. You decided. Yes, I decided. I'm not the police. I'm not the law. But I have power and resources, and when I see something that needs to be stopped, I stop it. He looked at her. I'm not a good man, Ada. I've told you that. But I'm also not random. I don't hurt people for fun or profit or because they inconvenience me. I hurt people who deserve it, and I won't apologize for that. The note said 12. The note is trying to make me look worse than I am. 6 deaths. All deserved, all deliberate, that's the truth. Ada walked to the window, looked out at Seoul. Somewhere in this city, there were girls who were alive and free because Jaehyun had killed Park Min-soo. Somewhere in this city, there were families that got justice they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And somewhere in this city, there was a man who believed he had the right to decide who lived and who died. I can't decide if you're a monster or a hero, Ada said quietly. I'm neither. I'm just someone with power who uses it the way I think is right. Sometimes that looks heroic. Sometimes it looks monstrous. But it's always deliberate. She turned to face him. Who keeps leaving these envelopes? Who's trying to scare me away? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. And when I do, he stopped, controlled himself. When I do, I'll make sure it stops. By killing them too. No, by making them understand that you are off limits, that this game they're playing ends now. Ada looked at him, at the man she loved, at the man who killed people he decided deserved it, at the man who was promising to protect her from people who wanted to use her against him. I'm staying, she said. His expression shifted. Relief, surprise, hope. Are you sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. She crossed to him, took his hands. But I need you to promise me something. Anything. No more secrets. If there are things I need to know about what you do, about who you've hurt, about dangers coming, you tell me. Before someone else does, before I find out another way. I can handle the truth. I can't handle being blindsided. I promise. And if I ask you to stop something, if I ask you to find another way that doesn't involve violence, you at least try. You at least consider it. He was quiet for a moment. Then, I'll try. I can't promise I'll always listen, but I promise I'll consider it. That's enough, she kissed him. For now, that's enough. They stood in the kitchen holding each other, while Seoul moved through its afternoon below them. And Ada made peace with the fact that she'd just chosen to love a man who decided who deserved to live and who deserved to die. It wasn't the ending to her story she'd imagined 3 months ago. But it was hers, and she was choosing it with her eyes open. Later that evening, after the photographs had been destroyed and the envelope burned, after Jaehyun had made calls to increase security and Ada had unpacked the last of her things from her old apartment, they sat on the couch overlooking Seoul at night. Tell me about the first one, Ada said. Jaehyun looked at her. Why? Because if I'm going to carry this weight with you, I need to understand it. I need to know how it started, why it started. He was quiet for a long time. Then he started talking. I was 25. I'd been running my father's business for 2 years. I was still learning, still trying to prove myself. And one of my suppliers, a man named Han, was cutting his product with something toxic. People were dying. Street-level dealers, sure, but also users. Kids, sometimes. Ada listened. I went to him, told him to stop. He refused, said it was more profitable this way, said if people died, that was their problem for using in the first place. Jaehyun's hands tightened on his glass. So I gave him a week to change his formula. He didn't. 2 more people died that week. One of them was 17. What did you do? I had him removed, quietly, made it look like an accident, and I made sure his entire operation was shut down. Every warehouse, every dealer, every supply line, gone. Do you regret it? No, I regret that it was necessary, but I don't regret doing it. They sat in silence for a while. Then Ada asked, do you ever think about stopping? Walking away from all of this? Every day. And then something happens. Someone gets hurt who shouldn't. Someone abuses power they shouldn't have. Someone needs help and no one else will provide it. And I realize I can't walk away. Because if I do, who fills the void? Someone worse. Someone who doesn't have rules. Someone who doesn't care about the difference between justice and revenge. That's a lot of weight to carry. Yes, but it's my weight. I chose it. He looked at her. You don't have to carry it with me. You can still leave. I mean that. I won't hold it against you. I won't make it difficult. You can just go. I know, and I'm staying anyway. Why? Because, Ada stopped, tried to find the right words. Because I've spent my whole life being invisible, being powerless, watching people get hurt and not being able to do anything about it. And you have power and you use it, sometimes in ways I don't agree with, sometimes in ways that scare me, but you use it. You don't just stand by and watch the world be terrible. You try to make it less terrible, even if the methods are questionable. Even then, she turned to face him fully. I'm not saying you're right. I'm not saying I agree with everything you do, but I'm saying I understand why you do it, and I'm choosing to stay anyway. He pulled her close, kissed the top of her head. I don't deserve you. Probably not, but you have me anyway. The next morning, Ada woke to find Jaehyun already awake, sitting at the edge of the bed with his phone. What is it? She asked. The person who left the envelope. We found out who's been getting into the building. Ada sat up. Who? Someone on my security team. He's been paid off. We're dealing with it now. Dealing with it how? Jaehyun looked at her. He's being removed from his position. Given a choice, leave Seoul quietly with enough money to start over somewhere else, or face consequences for breaching security in a way that endangered you. And if he chooses consequences, then he gets them. Jaehyun's voice was flat, final. But he'll choose the money, they always do. Who's paying him? We're still finding that out, but we will. He stood, started getting dressed. I have to go handle this. Will you be okay here? I want to come with you. He stopped, turned to look at her. Why? Because if I'm part of this world now, I should understand how it works. I can't just stay in this penthouse and pretend I don't know what you do. I need to see it. Ada, you don't want to see this. Maybe not, but I need to. She got out of bed, started getting dressed. You said no more secrets, no more hiding things from me, so don't hide this. He watched her for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, but you stay with me. You don't speak unless I tell you to, and if at any point it's too much, you tell me and I get you out. Deal. Deal. An hour later, they were in a warehouse in a district of Seoul Ada had never been to. The kind of place that looked abandoned, but wasn't. The kind of place where things happened that didn't make it into official records. The security guard who'd been paid off was already there when they arrived. He was sitting in a chair in the middle of the empty space, not tied up, not restrained, just sitting, waiting. Two of Jaehyun's men stood nearby. The handler was there too. His expression was as neutral as ever. The guard stood when he saw Jaehyun, started to speak. Jaehyun held up a hand. I'm not interested in excuses, Jaehyun said. His voice was calm, cold, completely different from how he spoke to Ada. I'm interested in one piece of information. Who paid you? The guard hesitated. I'm offering you a very generous deal, Jaehyun continued. You tell me who paid you, you take the money we're offering, you leave Seoul tonight, you never come back, you get to live your life. That's the offer. And if I don't take it, the guard asked. His voice shook slightly. Then we find out anyway. It just takes longer and costs you more. The guard looked at the two men standing nearby, looked at the handler, looked at Ada, standing slightly behind Jaehyun. There was an American, he said finally. He contacted me 2 weeks ago, offered me 50 million won to let someone into the building. Didn't say why, just said to look the other way when a certain person came through. Leave one specific camera angle unwatched for 5 minutes. Did you meet him? Once, in Itaewon coffee shop. Description: 50s, American accent, expensive watch, talked like someone used to giving orders. Jaehyun was silent for a moment, then he nodded to the handler. Give him the money, make sure he's on a plane by midnight. The guard's relief was visible. Thank you, Don't thank me. If you ever come back to Seoul, if you ever speak about this to anyone, if you ever become a problem again, the offer expires. Permanently. Understand? Yes. Go. The guard left quickly. The handler followed him out. Jaehyun stood in the empty warehouse, thinking. Ada waited. The American, Jaehyun said finally. The one who's been calling you, he's escalating. He's not just trying to recruit you anymore. He's trying to destabilize you, make you question everything. Why? Because you're his best chance at getting to me. If he can turn you, if he can make you doubt me enough to cooperate with him, he gets access to information he can't get any other way. What kind of information? Names, locations, operations, everything he'd need to build a case that might actually stick. Jaehyun looked at her. You okay? Ada realized she'd been holding her breath. The warehouse, the guard, the casual way Jaehyun had threatened the man's life, all of it had been. I'm okay, she said, and she was. Shaken maybe, but okay. You sure? You gave him a choice. You didn't hurt him. You let him leave. This time, because he cooperated, because he gave me what I needed. And if he hadn't? Jaehyun didn't answer. He didn't need to. They left the warehouse, got back in the car, started driving back to Gangnam. Thank you, Jaehyun said after a while. For what? For not running, for not looking at me like I'm a monster. You gave him a choice. That's more than a lot of people would have done. It's more than I would have done 5 years ago. People change. Because of you, he reached over, took her hand. I'm trying to be better for you because you make me want to be. Don't change too much. I'm apparently attracted to dangerous men who run empires in the shadows. He laughed, actually laughed. Good, because I don't know how to be anything else. Back at the penthouse, Ada's phone rang. Unknown number. She looked at Jaehyun. He nodded. She answered, put it on speaker. Ada, the American's voice, I see you've decided to stay. You've been watching. I've been trying to help you. The photographs were meant to open your eyes, to show you what kind of man you're protecting. I know what kind of man he is. Do you know about the 16-year-old girl in Busan? The one who died because Park Min-soo's operation was shut down so violently that it created a void other traffickers rushed to fill. Do you know about the families of the men he's killed? The children who grew up without fathers? Ada's stomach tightened. He saved girls from Park's warehouse and created chaos that led to more suffering. That's what vigilante justice does. It doesn't solve problems, it creates new ones. Jaehyun spoke for the first time. Who are you? A pause. Then, someone who's been watching you for a long time, someone who wants to see you answer for what you've done. You're not law enforcement. No, I'm better. I'm someone who can't be bought, can't be threatened, can't be scared away. The American's voice was calm, certain. And I will bring you down, with or without Ada's help. She just makes it faster. Good luck with that. I don't need luck. I have patience. And I have evidence. And eventually, I'll have enough to make sure you spend the rest of your life in prison. Or worse. The line went dead. Jaehyun looked at Ada. Still staying. Still staying. Even though he might be right. About the chaos. About the unintended consequences. Ada thought about that. About the 16-year-old in Busan. About the families of dead men. About all the ways that violence created more violence. I don't know if he's right, she said finally. But I know that doing nothing is also a choice. And sometimes the choice between bad and worse is still a choice worth making. You sound like me. Maybe I'm learning from you. I'm not sure that's a good thing. Neither am I, but here we are. They spent the rest of the day in the penthouse, talking, processing. Ada asked more questions about the operations, about the people involved. About how Jaehyun decided what was worth his intervention and what wasn't. He answered everything, honestly, without trying to make himself look better than he was. There are rules, he said. I never hurt anyone who hasn't hurt someone else first. I never target families. I never involve children. And I don't always succeed, but I try to make sure the cure isn't worse than the disease. The American said there was a 16-year-old who died. Her name was Yuna. She was at a different operation, one that rushed in to fill the void after Park was removed. I didn't know about it until after, when I found out." He stopped. "I made sure that operation was shut down too, permanently, and I made sure Yuna's family was taken care of. It doesn't bring her back, but it's something. Do you think about her? About the consequences you didn't intend?" "Every day." They ordered dinner, ate in silence. The city glittered outside the windows, beautiful and indifferent. "I want to do something," Ada said suddenly. "What?" "I don't know yet. But if I'm going to be part of this world, I can't just be the woman in the penthouse waiting for you to come home. I need to." She searched for the right words. "I need to be useful. I need to matter in a way that isn't just being your weakness for people to exploit." Jaehyun was quiet for a moment. Then, "What if I told you there was a way you could help, really help, make a difference?" "I'm listening." "Some of the girls from Park's operation, they're still in Seoul. They're trying to rebuild their lives. They need support. Someone to help them navigate the system, find jobs, access resources. Someone who understands what it's like to be foreign in Korea, to be vulnerable, to be seen as disposable." "Yes." Ada thought about it. About the girls who'd been saved from the warehouse. About the 16-year-old who'd died. About all the ways the world was cruel to women who had no power. "I could do that," she said. "I could help them. It wouldn't be safe. Some of the people who ran those operations, they're still out there. They'd see you as a threat, as someone interfering with their business." "You'd protect me." "I would, but I can't be with you every second." "Then teach me to protect myself." "Ada, I'm serious. If I'm going to do this, if I'm going to be part of your world in a real way, I need to know how to handle myself. I can't just rely on you and your men to keep me safe." Jaehyun looked at her, really looked at her, and Ada saw the moment he stopped seeing her as something fragile to protect and started seeing her as a partner, an equal, someone capable of making her own dangerous choices. "Okay," he said. "I'll teach you, or I'll have someone teach you, self-defense, situational awareness, how to recognize threats, how to get out of bad situations." "When do we start?" "Tomorrow." Ada smiled. "Good." "You're insane," Jaehyun said, but he was smiling too. "You keep saying that." "Because it keeps being true." That night, as they lay in bed looking out at Seoul's endless lights, Ada felt something shift inside her. Not fear, not doubt, something else. Purpose. For the first time since coming to Korea, she felt like she was doing more than just surviving. More than just sending money home and cleaning floors and making herself small. She was choosing to stand up, to be seen, to use whatever proximity to power she had to help people who needed it. It was dangerous. It was probably stupid. It was definitely going to complicate her life in ways she couldn't predict. But it was hers. And after months of feeling like life was just happening to her, she was finally making it happen. Jaehyun's arm was around her. His breathing was starting to slow, almost asleep. "Thank you," Ada whispered. "For what?" "For letting me be part of this. For not trying to keep me locked away from everything dangerous. I'm probably going to regret it." "Probably. But I also think," he paused, "I think you're going to be amazing at it, helping those girls. They'll trust you in a way they'd never trust me. And maybe that's how we make the consequences less brutal. By having someone who actually cares about the people involved, not just the outcome." Ada turned in his arms, kissed him. "I love you." "I love you too." The next morning started early. A woman arrived at the penthouse at 6 a.m. She was Korean, mid-40s, compact build, with eyes that had seen combat. "This is Lieutenant Park," Jaehyun said. "Retired military. She's going to teach you what you need to know." Lieutenant Park looked Ada up and down. "You're the one who wants to learn to protect herself." "Yes." "Why?" "Because I'm going to be working with vulnerable women in dangerous situations. And I can't help them if I can't help myself." Park nodded. "Good answer, we start now." The training was brutal. Park didn't go easy just because Ada was a beginner. She taught her how to break holds, how to strike vulnerable points, how to use her smaller size as an advantage, how to read a room for exits, how to identify threats before they became immediate, how to stay calm when adrenaline was screaming at her to panic. By the end of 3 hours, Ada was exhausted and covered in bruises. "You're soft," Park said, not unkindly, just factually. "But you learn fast. We'll do this every morning for the next month. By the end, you'll be able to handle yourself in most situations." Most. There are some situations you can't handle. That's when you run or call for help. Pride gets people killed. After Park left, Ada showered and changed. Jaehyun was waiting with coffee and a first aid kit. "How was it?" he asked, tending to a particularly bad bruise on her shoulder. "Painful, necessary. Park doesn't go easy." "Good, I don't want easy, I want effective." He smiled. "She said you learn fast." "Did she?" "She texted me after she left, said you have good instincts, and that you're tougher than you look." "I've had to be." They sat in comfortable silence while he finished checking her over. Then Ada asked, "When can I meet them, the girls from the warehouse?" "Whenever you're ready." "I'm ready." That afternoon, Jaehyun took her to a building in a quieter part of Seoul. It looked like an ordinary apartment complex from the outside, but inside, it was a sanctuary. A place where women who'd escaped trafficking operations could stay while they figured out their next steps. A Korean woman in her 50s met them at the entrance. She had kind eyes and a firm handshake. "This is Mrs. Cho," Jaehyun said. "She runs this place, has for 10 years. "Welcome," Mrs. Cho said to Ada in English. "Jaehyun SSI told me you wanted to help." "If I can." "Can you speak Vietnamese, Tagalog, Thai?" "No, but I can speak English, and I can learn." Mrs. Cho smiled. "Good, come, I'll show you around." The building had 20 rooms. 15 were occupied. The women ranged from late teens to mid-30s. All of them had the same look in their eyes, hard, defensive, waiting for the next bad thing to happen. "They don't trust easily," Mrs. Cho said quietly as they walked through the common area. "Most of them were promised safety before, jobs, a better life, and then they were locked in rooms and sold. So when someone new shows up offering to help, they assume it's another trap." "Yes." "How do I earn their trust?" "You show up, consistently. You listen without judgment. You help without expecting gratitude. And eventually, maybe, they start to believe you're real." In one of the common rooms, a young woman sat alone by the window. She looked about 19, Southeast Asian. Her hands were wrapped around a cup of tea, but she wasn't drinking. "That's Lynn," Mrs. Cho said. "Vietnamese, she was in Park's warehouse. Been here for 3 weeks. Hasn't spoken to anyone except me." "Can I try?" Mrs. Cho looked surprised. "You can try, but don't expect much." Ada approached slowly, sat down in a chair near Lynn but not too close, didn't say anything, just sat. Lynn glanced at her, looked away. They sat in silence for 5 minutes, 10. Then Ada said quietly, in English, "I'm not going to ask you to tell me your story, and I'm not going to tell you that everything will be okay, because I don't know if it will be." Lynn's eyes flicked toward her, suspicious but listening. "But I can tell you this," Ada continued. "I know what it's like to come to Korea and feel like you don't matter, to feel like you're invisible until someone wants to use you for something, to feel like no one sees you as a person." Lynn's hands tightened on her cup. "I can't undo what happened to you," Ada said, "but I can sit here, and I can come back tomorrow, and the day after, and I can keep showing up until maybe you believe that someone gives a shit whether you're okay or not." Lynn was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, in soft but clear English, "Why should I believe you?" "You shouldn't, not yet, but maybe eventually." "Who are you?" "My name is Ada. I'm from Nigeria. I've been in Korea for 14 months. I clean floors, or I used to. Now I'm trying to figure out how to help people who need it." "You work for him." Lynn gestured toward where Jaehyun was standing in the hallway with Mrs. Cho. "Yes, he's..." Ada stopped. How did you explain Jaehyun? He's complicated, but he shut down the warehouse where you were kept, and he pays for this place, and he's trying to do better than the people who hurt you. Is he your boyfriend? The directness of the question surprised Ada. Yes. Do you love him? Yes. Lin looked at her for a long moment. Then, my sister is still in Vietnam. I need to send money home. They said I could make money here. Instead, they took everything. How much do you need to send? Lin named an amount. Not huge, but more than she could earn in weeks of minimum wage work. I'll make sure you can send it, tomorrow. Why would you do that? Because I send money home too, every month, to my mother, my sisters, and I know what it means to be the one who's supposed to help and then can't. Lin's eyes were bright, not crying, but close. Thank you. You're welcome. Ada stayed for another hour, talked to 3 more women, learned names, heard fragments of stories, offered help where she could, money, resources, just listening. When she and Jaehyun left, Mrs. Cho walked them out. You did well, she said to Ada. Lin hasn't talked to anyone since she arrived. You got through to her. She's incredibly brave. They all are. They survived things that would break most people. Now they just need to figure out how to live again. In the car, Jaehyun took Ada's hand. You were good with her, with all of them. I just told them the truth. That's more than most people do. The money Lin needs to send home. I'll arrange it. And the others, whatever they need, I'll keep a list, we'll make sure they get it. We. Yes, we. This is something we're doing together now. Jaehyun squeezed her hand. Okay, together. That evening, back at the penthouse, Ada felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. She felt useful, needed, like she was doing something that mattered in a concrete, immediate way. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. I saw you today, at the shelter, talking to the girls. You think you're helping, you're not. You're putting them at risk. The men who ran those operations, they have long memories, and they don't forget people who interfere. Walk away while you still can. Ada showed Jaehyun the text. His expression went cold. The American. How does he know where I was today? Because he's been following you, watching, documenting. Jaehyun pulled out his phone, made a call, spoke rapidly in Korean, hung up. We're increasing security on you, on the shelter, on everyone involved. He's trying to scare me. Is it working? Ada thought about Lin, about the other women at the shelter, about the way they'd looked at her with a mix of hope and suspicion. No, she said. It's not working. I'm going back tomorrow, and the day after, and every day until they don't need me anymore. That might be never. Then I'll be busy for a long time. Jaehyun pulled her close. You're going to get yourself killed. Probably, but at least I'll die doing something that matters. That's not funny. I'm not joking. They stayed like that for a while, holding each other, both of them aware that the stakes had just gotten higher, that Ada had just made herself a bigger target, that the American and whoever else was watching now knew she wasn't just Jaehyun's weakness, she was becoming something else, something harder to manipulate because she had her own purpose, her own reasons for being in this world. Promise me something, Jaehyun said. What? Promise me you'll be careful, that you'll listen to Park, that you'll take the security seriously, that you won't do anything stupid. I promise to try. Ada. That's the best I can do. I can't promise I won't do anything stupid, because helping those women, going back to that shelter every day knowing someone's watching, that's already stupid, but it's the right kind of stupid, and I'm going to do it anyway. He was quiet for a moment. Then I promise I'll keep you safe while you do it. Deal. A week later, Ada had fallen into a routine. Mornings with Park, learning how to fight, how to defend, how to stay aware. Afternoons at the shelter, talking to the women, helping them navigate the bureaucracy of visas and work permits, sending money home for them when they needed it. Lin had started to smile, not often, but sometimes. Another woman, Mai, had started teaching Ada basic Vietnamese. They practiced while folding laundry in the shelter's common room. A third woman, Siri from Thailand, had found a job at a restaurant. Not perfect, not well-paying, but honest, legal hers. Ada was sitting with Siri, helping her fill out tax paperwork, when her phone rang. Jaehyun. Hey, she answered. Where are you? The shelter. Why? Stay there, don't leave. I'm sending people. What's wrong? The American. He's made a move. He's filed a complaint with the immigration office. Claims the shelter is operating illegally. Claims the women there are being held against their will. Ada's stomach dropped. That's insane. They're here voluntarily. Mrs. Cho has all the paperwork. I know, but he's forcing an investigation, which means officials will be showing up, asking questions, and if any of the women panic, if any of them say the wrong thing, it could shut this place down. Yes, so I need you to stay calm, help Mrs. Cho prepare, make sure the women understand what's happening, that this is just bureaucracy, that they're safe. Okay. Ada. Yeah. This is what I meant, about being part of this world, about consequences. He's using these women who have already been hurt to get to me, through you. I know. And you're still staying. Still staying. Okay, I'll be there in an hour. Ada hung up, found Mrs. Cho, explained the situation. Mrs. Cho's expression went tight. I have all the permits, all the documentation, but if the women get scared, if they don't trust the officials, then we make sure they're ready, we prepare them, we tell them the truth. They spent the next hour gathering the women. Ada explained what was happening, that officials would come, that they would ask questions, that it was okay to be scared but important to be honest. You're safe here, Ada said. This is real, Mrs. Cho is real, and we're going to make sure you stay safe, but we need you to trust us just a little longer. Lynn stood up. I'll tell them about the warehouse, about being rescued. If it helps, I'll tell them. Thank you. One by one, the other women agreed. They would tell their stories. They would prove the shelter was helping, not hurting. The officials arrived an hour later. Jaehyun was with them, not officially, but his presence made it clear this was being watched, that any irregularities would be noticed. The investigation took 3 hours. The women were interviewed. Mrs. Cho showed paperwork. Ada translated when needed. In the end, the officials left with their report. No violations found. No evidence of coercion. The shelter could continue operating. After they left, the women collapsed in relief. Lynn hugged Ada. Mai cried. Siri laughed and said something in Thai that sounded like a prayer. We did it, Mrs. Cho said. We survived the inspection. He'll try again, Ada said. The American, he'll keep trying. Then we'll keep fighting. We've survived worse. Back at the penthouse that night, Ada was exhausted, emotionally drained, but also strangely proud. They stood up for themselves, she told Jaehyun. When the officials asked questions, when they had the chance to say this place was a trap, they defended it. They defended us. Because you gave them a reason to trust. We gave them a reason. This isn't just me. No, but you're the one who showed up every day. You're the one who learned their names. You're the one who sent money home for Lynn's sister. That was you. Ada leaned against him. The American isn't going to stop. No, he's escalating, which means we need to find out who he is, who he works for, what his endgame is. And then what? And then we stop him, before he hurts anyone else trying to get to me. Ada was quiet for a moment. Then, don't kill him. Jaehyun looked at her. What? Whatever you do to stop him, don't kill him. Find another way. Ada, I know what you're capable of. I know how you solve problems. But if you kill him, if you end this that way, then he was right. About you, about everything. And I can't. She stopped. I need you to prove him wrong. I need you to prove that you can solve problems without violence. That's not always possible. Try anyway, for me. Jaehyun was silent for a long moment. Then, okay, I'll try. But if he becomes a direct threat to you, if he puts you in danger. Then we'll deal with it together. But let's try the other way first. Okay. They stood together at the window, looking out at Seoul. Two people trying to navigate a world that didn't fit into simple categories of right and wrong. Two people who'd chosen each other despite all the reasons they shouldn't have. And somewhere out there, someone was watching, planning, waiting for the next opportunity to drive them apart. But tonight, they were together. And that was enough. They stayed like that for a long time. Two people who had chosen each other despite all the reasons they shouldn't have. Two people who were building something in the spaces between right and wrong, legal and illegal, safe and dangerous. And somewhere in the city below, someone was watching. Someone was planning. Someone had left those photographs and was waiting to see what Ada would do with the information. But that was a problem for tomorrow. Tonight, Ada was exactly where she'd chosen to be. And that was enough. If you've stayed with Ada through 4 episodes, if you felt the weight of her looking at those photographs, if you understood her choice to stay despite knowing the truth, if you're wondering who's trying to drive them apart and why, then do something for me right now. Hit that subscribe button, because episode 5 is going to test everything they've built. The person leaving the envelopes has a plan. The American investigator isn't done trying to recruit Ada. And Ada is about to learn that loving Jaehyun means more than accepting his past. It means being part of his present. And his present is about to get very, very dangerous. Comment below, would you have stayed or left after seeing those photographs? I want to know, be honest. Because this story is about to become something else entirely. And you are not ready for what's coming next.